relocation. How is COVID-19 going to impact us in our market, especially here in South Florida? And being the relocation specialist that her and her company are, we're going to hear more about really, like, let's get the nitty gritty stuff out there. Let's understand some of these details. And a lot of it could be speculative, but, really, why don't you tell us about you and your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Samantha Scalzo. I'm the broker with S&S Global. We're a full service real estate brokerage that specializes in relocation. We have to start with stability. I think that's what's most important here. It's the key to purchase. So if you feel comfortable and confident with what you're buying, then you're more likely to buy. Right now, people are in a state of uncertainty. So the process of buying has slowed down, but it hasn't stopped in its entirety. So whether people are in money mode, creative mode, survival mode, people are thinking right now and their brains are processing. So we're seeing an influx of buyers and renters, specifically from hard hit areas. I'm from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, people from Texas, less foreign nationals because obviously there's a lot of fluctuation in currencies. The New York Times just ranked us number 2 for New Yorkers' top destination to come to. In addition to the permanent renters and buyers that you're seeing, we're also seeing an influx of investors and wholesalers. So there's billions of dollars on the sidelines. Blackstone has $3 billion ready to deploy into assets once they see that the market starts to stabilize and deals are coming into play.
Yeah, we can relate to that on the lending side. I mean, that's one of those things where we've definitely seen a huge contraction in, which was the availability of certain types of loan products and things of that nature, which obviously has all been a direct impact of everyone literally moving their money over here to the side. So. Absolutely.
We're also seeing offices, like large offices. People were concerned about commercial real estate, and yes, retail and that type of side to the real estate is concerning. But the reality is, people are downsizing offices. Your ideal office space isn't going to be in your house in your pajamas. So people are subletting from larger corporations or just downsizing in its entirety. Commercial industry is feeling the heat, but it's not going to be obsolete. People are also leaving city living for suburban living. So a lot of millennials, a lot more people are interested in the number of bedrooms, how much lighting they have, the lifestyle, prioritizing the actual neighborhood rather than like the commute time to work. People are relying heavily right now, buyers specifically, on digital media, virtual tours, electronic closings. In 1000 Museum, they had 3 top multi-million-dollar sales in that area. So things are actually moving. Forbes indicated in March.
Actually, I'll stop you real quick because I do have a question about that. So as far as, when we start talking about the millennial, we forget that they're aging as millennials, right? We give them a hard time as people, and, me who's 40 years old, so when we talk about that millennial who really wants to gravitate towards something that, maybe a little more peaceful, so to speak. But let's talk about the impact of COVID-19. So a lot of people really want to now have a little more space, right? They don't necessarily want to be on top of each other in the same way. Obviously, that's transitioning to those who can work in a remote environment, which I think really a lot of our millennial age group has kind of lived in more so on a more consistent basis. As far as from millennial, let's just talk about to the older age group. And you said that South Florida, we're the number 1 destination, or the second, number 2 destination. So what's number 1?
So number 1 is actually people relocating to areas close by. So for example, like New York, a lot of my friends in New York never wanted to leave New York. If you ask people that live in Manhattan, true New Yorkers, they'll say they're going to live there for the rest of their lives. So often what you're finding is those people are actually going to other areas, remote areas, the suburbs, Westchester, upstate New York. So the number 1 destination for those people are to relocate close by. And then the second destination is Florida, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, obviously. All right, so I didn't mean to cut you off there. So
no.
So we are seeing some movement in the market, and we can relate to that, especially on the lending side of things, where we really did have a complete lull for which was about 6 or 7 weeks of purchase pre-approval, pre-qualification applications. We have now seen a substantial uptick in that. We're seeing a lot of movement, on the investment side. People selling their duplexes and their 3 units and their 4 units. So we're seeing a lot of movement, at least from a loan application standpoint right now.
Yeah, the chief economist actually said that he has not seen a slowdown in mortgage applications, which is a great indicator for us. Forbes recently came out and said, 80% of buyers have put their home buying process on hold for March and April, which is obvious reasons as to why. However, they also indicated that 28% of people are looking for properties and shopping online. 25% of people are requesting video tours specifically for real estate, and 30% of people are online more now shopping than they were prior to the pandemic. So digital media is critical right now because that's what people are looking for. They're looking to buy, and they're relying on us for more information, to help them through this time. I really believe that no matter what, people, if they have to escape, they're going to escape sooner than later. So although the world has slowed down a little, it's still moving. We're going to see an influx of investors for the next probably 6 to 8 months, to be direct. We're going to see people that want to come here and scoop up tons and tons of properties. We're just waiting for things to stabilize a bit. People feel a little bit more comfortable. And once you see deals starting to hit the market, you already know the major players, Blackstone, $300 billion is on the sidelines. That's just one group.
So I've got a very specific question because obviously I work with a lot of realtors. Are you seeing communication that's more like that sideline communication? Because I've heard of a number of instances where realtors are putting together deals almost accidentally, where they were working with a previous owner or seller, and now they've got someone that wants to buy, and they're really communicating kind of a little closer in some cases, because I got the right apartment for you, and they just want to connect the dots because everyone can really focus differently now, right? They're all at home working or whatever it may be, so their attention to whether it's their community or their neighbor or their family or their friends, we're actually seeing that create a lot of activity to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, I mean, people have to work together right now. So it's not necessarily, we don't have a lot of inventory on the market. So the rebound is actually going to be stronger than we think. People immediately pulled everything off the market because they were concerned. Said, I'm not going to sell my house for less, so I'm going to pull things off the market. So a lot of realtors right now don't have enough inventory, and the demand is there. You have people moving from all over the place. Florida's always going to be a hot spot. I think 900 people move here per day. Of that, 45%.
That's what I wanted to ask you is that, so that number was 900 before COVID-19. What do you think we're going to end up with in 3, 4, 6 months, say?
Honestly, I think that number will increase. Everyone asked me, are you concerned about the real estate market? We have renters right now from all over the world the moment that they can get on a plane, they're ready to come here. So I'm not really concerned about the number of relocations. The number's already proven at 900 per day and 45% come to South Florida. I see that number increasing. We have renters calling now for $2,000 rentals all the way up to $50,000 per month, and willing to pay 6 months up front come October. You don't see that.
I mean, that's a huge number, and I think that's a huge opportunity for the real estate agent that's out there, right? I mean, if someone's willing to come in and do a 6-month lease, and obviously if it's allowed by whether it's a condo or it's a house, a single family home, detached, one owner or whatever it may be, this rental market really has to see some influx because a lot of people are going to want to kind of come test their waters here, right?
And I think Florida just said they just reopened 42 of the 67 counties for vacation rentals. I have people
that was my next question. What's going to happen to the short term?
Right. So the vacation rentals, again, people were concerned because they were saying, oh my God, we can't pay rent. What are we supposed to do? But the reality is people are going to come here to test the waters, especially people from New York. Where I'm from, you don't just leave. I was like one in a few that like jumped on a plane and
Same
moved.
thing, Kentucky, same thing. People don't really leave, They love it, but they don't want to go.
Right. They stay put. So like to see that so many people are calling and they're like, we're going to make Florida our home. It's shocking. It honestly, it's shocking. I think will have it will impact the Florida market greatly.
Well, I mean, and take into consideration the way that we've adjusted our businesses. Obviously, it's a little trickier for you in the real estate world because you're used to having to walk someone into a unit of a home where we really have always kind of lived in a remote environment.
Right.
I happen to have spent a lot of time out of the office just because that was my approach in the past. But how many businesses and people that are self-employed can really do their business anywhere? I mean, how many business executives are no longer going to get on a plane or private jet for any reason because they don't really need to speak to that person face to face, meaning in the same room, but now they can do it this way, in the same approach.
Like we're seeing, people are calling me for offices. Hey, I have this place. Can you sublet it? I'm going to kind of subdivide the spaces within my large office. Can you find somebody? So I think when it comes to like the office sector, we're definitely going to see like a decrease. People might not want such extravagant offices. What people are going to focus on now is the exterior of when you welcome your guests, so your lobby, your conference rooms, and then they're going to put their top executives and maybe a few other employees here or there. They'll let people work from home. They'll give them that flexibility. But again, there's not many people that they're like day to day is waking up and working from, they're not like excited about that. So in order for that market to keep moving, I think that people are still going to go to the office. It's just going to provide a little bit more flexibility.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're seeing this, and we happen to be quite fortunate at Cardinal because we always were set up through that remote environment concept. But the more and more I speak to people, no matter what type of business they're in, it's amazing how many people really can do so much of what they do from the comfort of their home. They don't have to come to the office. I think that the tougher thing really becomes staying connected. So if you have a team of people, making sure that you're constantly in contact with them. But I think that this is really what's creating an adjustment to communication, which also is increasing people's mobility. And for us in South Florida, obviously, that's why we're here today, to talk about is that the fact that the impact is so substantial for our market itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to provide a lot of value. And also bear in mind too, people are waiting for deals and forbearance and forgiveness. And this is your world. I think March 2nd, they said you have 120 days. And then at that point, people are either going to have to pay, list their property for less, or sell immediately because they have to avoid foreclosure and things like bankruptcy. So I think
short sales. I think that we're going to see some short sales. So for the listing agents out there, get your head around that. I mean,
so that's actually one of the things that we mentioned for marketing. That was something we had brought up. We're taking foreclosure classes. People are like, you've been in the industry 10 years. Like, why are you taking classes? And I said, because not only will we have the buyers, but I'm going to have the list from the banks. And we're going to understand this market, how to streamline the process and make it so much easier for both the bank to streamline it directly to us and we can sell the property for them, and for our buyers for us to understand that market. So that's definitely for any realtors or even investors that are on this call to pay very close attention to, that foreclosures are going to be a thing. So understand that market and try to target it, because a lot of people will shy away from that. Not many people know our REO specialist.
Yeah, and I think that there's a huge space that's right in the middle between, I was in forbearance, I really can't afford my property. I'm really that person that's not going back to work at the same capacity. I'm having to reset my life. And that's going to be quite unfortunate, obviously. I mean, that's tragic and to a lot of degrees to think that something that, something that wasn't on our radar could have so much impact on our future, and to find that all of a sudden you can't make your mortgage payment, that you truly are going to find yourself in default if you can't get caught up one way or the other. It's going to reset a lot of perception and expectations for those individuals. So there's a space in between that situation, obviously, which is the beginning, and then foreclosure, which is the worst end. So in the middle is a short sale, right? I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in that space where it could have less impact on the individual, meaning he or she who doesn't have to go into foreclosure, and instead can short sale and therefore be able to reset their lives a little quicker down the road. And we actually did a call with the Miami Board of Realtors last week, very specific to this, because this is something that, even if this is not your world from a listing agent standpoint or even a selling agent standpoint, you're going to be in contact with a lot of these types of people. So, I mean, our conversation was, if you don't know how to do it and it's not really what you want to specialize in, there's a lot of ways where you as a realtor can legally make money by referring to those who really do focus on that short sale market. And also, too, become that saving grace for that individual who does have time to reset their lives, not only now, but in the future, 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, recovery is going to bounce back a little bit quicker. In 07, 08, it was focused on the housing collapse, right? It was that
Right.
crisis, but it took about 3 years for people to recover. The GDP had fallen about 4%. The GDP is falling just about 4.5%. So I actually think that the rebound in the real estate market is going to be much stronger, and it's going to be shorter than what we once saw. Because that was also a big concern of mine. I had sellers that pulled listings and they said, so how long do we have to wait? Is this going to take 10 years to recover? And I think the positive to this is it's not. It wasn't based on the housing collapse. There's other factors, contributing factors, and I think this is going to bounce back faster.
I couldn't agree more, and I'll tell you why I think more so than any reason is because think about all the investors that were out there that really couldn't really get into the real estate investment side. They were really being pushed out, pushed aside by people that really focused on this all the time. Well, now all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of people who pull their money out or really want to transition into something that is a tangible asset, meaning real estate, not where it can be so affected by an overnight collapse or overweek collapse. We watch people's 401ks, dilapidated by 30, 40% in some cases, in a matter of 4, 5, 7 days. And, so your real estate really isn't seeing this impact. And we actually haven't seen any true decline in values. We see opportunities, but not necessarily a drive in value. Not yet. Not to say that it can't come.
Yep.
When we have a lot of condos here, so we'll see.
Yeah. And it's opportunity. You said it perfectly. It's not necessarily, are we going to see dramatic declines? We're going to see opportunities because forbearance is going to end. But because the Federal Reserve allowed that time, that's why we're not seeing a mass collapse. They kind of protected us in that sense.
And also, too, those who are investors also want to liquidate their portfolios to a certain degree, because maybe they need to make a shift. Maybe they're a little too heavy in real estate. I think that there's going to be a lot of activity, quite honestly, in our market. And again, we still are continuing to build. I mean, I was just yesterday at the Missoni Bahia. They just opened their sales center again yesterday, so we just stopped in to say hi and just to kind of show that the world's kind of moving forward and through this phase one, but they're 56% sold. They are seeing just as much activity as they were before, but now they're seeing it from a domestic level.
It's local.
Not so much the foreign level where they're getting a lot more European, because that is more of a European brand concept than it is South America, and that's really where they drove a lot of their sales from. But they're seeing activity and constant, communication of, hey, we might be thinking about relocating.
No, we have people calling. I have 3 to 5 people calling a day, whether it be they're relocating permanently, whether they're just trying to rent, whether they're just trying to feel out the market, or they're looking for deals. We have 4 to 5 people calling a day.
Yeah.
Alone will probably relocate 25 people. So 27, that's a person a day.
Wow. Impressive.
So it just shows that it's all relevant, and I would say for every con, there's some sort of a pro. It's just the perspective and the way you're looking at things and the way that, you can leverage the market for opportunities and to make money.
Absolutely. So specific to, what really attracts people to South Florida, I really want to hear kind of where because you pitch this all day, right? So, outside of the fact that, everybody wants to live in Florida or Miami seems like a fun place. Kind of give me what your perspective is. You live in this space all day. This really is your focus. What really attracts people to South Florida?
Well, the sun. That's the reason I'm here. I moved 10 years ago. It's cold.
You and me both.
Imagine being in New York right now, looking out a shoebox sized window, paying $5,000 a month to gray clouds, and you can't go anywhere. So we're blessed enough to be able to walk outside, 80-degree weather. Not only is it beautiful, but it's affordable. It's a metropolitan city that's still affordable in comparison to a lot of other places. So you have sun, affordability, and taxes. You're eliminating state income tax. So those two things between health and wealth, health and finance, become contributing factors for people. They see the weather, they see the opportunity to avoid these taxes, and then in addition to that, they see that it's still affordable. I have people that pay $7,500 a month in a one bedroom in New York that's 700 square feet. $7,500 a month gets you a lot in Florida. South Florida alone, but then as you move a little bit further north, you can live in castles.
Yeah, I mean, go north and west. I mean, listen, we got a beautiful West Coast. I mean,
really,
let's be honest, the Gulf Coast is beautiful. And I think that we're going to see a huge influx moving towards that direction as well.
Yeah.
I really think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in that area. So for all you realtors out there, make a friend in the West Coast, find your referral partner. And obviously, you know, I mean, Samantha, I'm sure you guys invite that all day long. If you don't necessarily understand how to approach that, that client that's looking to relocate, definitely reach out to, you know, Samantha and people on her team, because this is a huge opportunity, not only for you to be the right type of professional, but as well as to make sure that your client at the end of the day really is going to continue to drive referral opportunities for you down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's see, we got a couple other things we want to cover. What are specific tips for agents that you would really have them focus on right now? Because everybody's kind of being pulled in 1,000 directions, right? Everybody's, you know, a little confused. What do we do? What do we expect?
So I think honestly, the biggest con is going to be uncertainty. So what people need to do right now is connect with people. My dad always taught me people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. So you have to understand that the majority of people's mindsets, regardless of what you're going through, is what's in it for me? What's in it for me? So if you can provide value, you don't have to be in real estate, you don't have to be in lending, you don't have to be in relocation. You need to provide consumer value and they'll listen to you, right? But the moment that they listen to you, you have to be direct and to the point, which I think a lot of us are losing through this. We want to connect to people, so, you know, we want to take our time, but at the same time, people don't have, you know, they don't have much time, so you have to be direct. We're implementing things like virtual tours. So all the Matterport tours, you can view all of our listings on your phone, on your computer. That's super important. It saves people time. That saves people money. You don't have to go to showings. Like what better way to see a house? Now, is my dad going to buy a house through a Matterport tour? Might not necessarily do that, but he's going to know right away whether or not he really wants to see it. Right. So that's critical. We're also investing in foreclosure classes. I mentioned REO specialists. I haven't heard of a lot of them unless you're connected to the bank, right? So being able to invest in those classes to have the bank list and then be able to find deals at the same time is great. Video goes a long way. We're creating videos like the buying process in under 2 minutes, the renting process in under 2 minutes. We're getting those for $100, $150 on Fiverr, and then we're pushing those through to other avenues to boost the post through Facebook, Instagram, and people are clicking on it. You're getting in front of thousands of people for $150. You know, other things that I want to say that we're doing is webinars. Webinars is a great way for me. I never like to take public speaking opportunities, but what better way to learn than to be in front of a computer where there are participants, but you don't have to feel the nerves of being there. So podcasting, interviews, I would say stepping outside of your comfort zone completely will open new doors. People want to understand what the difference is between rent and buy. So we created a 30-second sketch. It's a handwritten sketch on a video that shows the difference between renting and buying. You'd be shocked to see how many people are like.
That was kind of what I want to talk about. Is like, how long do you recommend a video be? Because, you know, obviously I do a lot of this stuff and we're seeing a ton of traction on our YouTube, but if it's not really specific, it's hard to keep the attention of anyone these days, right? Yeah. And so Liz and I were literally just saying, hey, we got to do these 2-minute videos because people really just want basic information, whether it's about credit or it's about low down payment or whatever it may be. Is that where you're seeing the
So
majority of your
I would say
success?
under 2 minutes and keep it almost stupid simple. Like we
Got it.
were doing these like extravagant lifestyle videos and selling an area, which is great to an extent. But then we started to kind of change up our videos to like cartoons and sketches, and people are very, very, very focused on that. They see that and they can connect. If you can connect to people right now, people are going to listen to you, whether that be through a webinar, whether that be through a call, whether that be through an email or a video. If you're providing consumer value in a short amount of time, they're going to listen, and they're going to, probably 9 times out of 10 inquire to see what else you're doing.
So quick question. So this whole email thing, I've never seen so many people open up our emails as we have seen, obviously, since March. I mean, it's been absolutely insane. We have no one that's unsubscribing. Obviously, we really focus on our content from our approach. I know you guys are quite similar, but I'm quite amazed how attentive the consumer is right now, especially when it comes to even looking at an email. They're in their spam boxes. Whenever you do a mass email, some of the times it's going to end up in spam, right? It's amazing to me how much response we're getting.
People are bored.
Right, it's amazing.
People are bored. Like,
you have their attention.
This is going to implement some sort of serious discipline for a lot of people, because obviously to be home and working is hard. We're used to that. But for the most part, people are bored. They're sitting home and they have nothing to do. They're scrolling on Instagram. I guarantee you, if you check to see your average phone time, it's strange that they track us like that, but if you check to see that, your increase is probably 30-40% because you're consistently, tapping your phone and looking at things. So that's why the beauty behind even email, which is not obsolete. Everyone thinks that email is like out the window. If you can provide value and people want to click like catchy subject lines, and you can provide value in under 2 minutes, a minute, 30 seconds, people will be interested. And again, it's because they're bored.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's quite amazing to me, the attention that we're getting. I mean, you can actually keep someone's attention even through what is written communication. It doesn't necessarily have to be video every time. So that would be the one thing that I would definitely add is word media. Absolutely. Versus just straight digital. Like don't stop doing both, because as long as you're providing quality content, it really is optimal, because if you hit everybody from every angle, you're not going to miss.
We even have something like the 5-step renter guide that we printed out. It's literally a renter guide in infographics. It's pictures. People ask me the same question. I've been in the industry for 10 years. They'll ask you 4 times a day, what do they need to provide the next steps, whether it be to buy or rent? We literally just hand you a piece of paper. We explain it once, and then you have a piece of paper. However, the piece of paper is a picture. So it's easy for people to connect and to follow that. So yeah, you're right. You don't want to just eliminate, you don't want to just go all digital because people are there, all video. You want to like diversify your marketing avenues.
Cool. Could not agree more. We're definitely seeing a lot of success on all levels.
And to follow up on some of that marketing, I said people are bored, and really people don't have a reason to be bored, because there's so much you can do with continuing education, that you can learn a language, a skill. There's classes being offered for free at 50% less from Ivy League professors. So there are things that people can do. Try to be creative for all the realtors out there. For example, we have a home in Coconut Grove. We're building it from the ground up. The seller looks at me and he says, I want X amount. I said, it's impossible. You can't get it. Not right now. He goes, well, what can we do differently? He surveyed probably 25 realtors. Everybody said the reality is what you want, you can't get. So what I thought was, okay, let's kind of mimic an OMES strategy where it's a charity, but they raffle things off for big ticket prices, right? Okay. So have you ever seen a realtor raffling off a $1.5 million house or a $1.5 million cash prize for $100?
I guess I'm about to.
So those are the type of things that people need to kind of do and see. And look, it's trial and error. I'm not telling you that $100 raffle ticket, with a chance to win a $1.5 million house or the house is necessarily the only way to go. But number one, you're going to leverage a lot of people looking at you because they're going to say, who's this? When did raffles come into real estate? So people are going to be looking at you. You can leverage that exposure. And again, like you were mentioning, a lot of realtors and brokers are working together. So we can call our network and our community and say, hey guys, we have this house. If your client wants it, great. But they also have the opportunity to win a complimentary trip, free masks, and the ability, and the chance to win this home for $100. So it's just a cool way to connect with people and do things differently. A lot of my agents are kind of getting discouraged. They're like, oh my God, the buyer's taking so long. Just so everyone's aware, buyers take 8 to 10 weeks before moving forward with an offer. So if you're taking 8 to 10 weeks, and right now it's taking 12 to 14 weeks, it's all relevant.
Right.
So it's
no one did anything anyway for 6 weeks. So, so if you only lost 3, no big deal. Yeah.
And so don't get discouraged. That's a huge thing. And focus primarily on markets that are moving. You have no idea how many people call me and they're like, oh yeah, I just sent this flyer to New York. I'm like, bad time. You have to understand the emotions that people are going through. You don't want to send flyers to New York, to Wyoming, to places like that, either that didn't get hit hard or got hit too hard. You want to focus on places that got hit hard rather than like Wyoming that didn't get hit hard at all,
Right.
So you also have to be relevant within your content too, that if you are going to target people in New York, you do it in a subliminal, kind of, I would say, tactful way rather than try to like sell people.
Well, it's funny you said that because my sister sent something out to our family group chat the other day, which was Yale is offering a happiness course. It's an 8-week course, and it's free.
That's so cool.
And I forget the name of the woman. You would probably know her, but she's a very well-known psychiatrist and mental health advocate. But I was like, wow, this is how substantial. Like, provide maybe some content like this. We should do some stuff like this. Let's put this on one of our blasts. Let's just do something a little bit more than just try to sell our loan, at the end of the day, or our real estate at the end of the day. Let's provide, again, more value, which I always, I teeter on that approach because, you can only look at so many quotes, and Instagram. So, but something as valuable as a free 8-week free 8-week course on happiness. How many people are just stuck at their home and they're like, I don't know if I want to make it with my wife, my kids are driving me crazy, whatever it is.
There's Ivy League courses being offered for free. I mean, you're saying Yale. I'm a part of the board for FIU, the Forbes Real Estate Council, Nexus. We're all like, the way that the communities are coming together and really focusing not just on sales. Like I was on a webinar with Mark Cuban and he's like, do not try to sell people right now. Try to connect to people. Right now we need that sense of, togetherness, because a lot of people are being pulled in different directions. There's a lot of uncertainty. With uncertainty, it leads to fear, and that's where things slow down. And what we all need right now is not to be scared and really put money into the market, because once you put money into the market, the economy starts to go again. So
you know what? Everybody's so nice right now. Have you noticed that? Like, everybody really is so nice.
People are also irritable on the flip side of things, So people are nice to an extent, but you have to be able to know. You have to know who you're communicating with. I think that's
absolutely. All right, so I think we just about got it all covered. As far as a final thought, when it comes to overall productivity, obviously it's difficult to go to the gym right now and do these types of things. Samantha and I have known each other, I don't know, maybe a year or whatever it is now. Just so you guys know, check out her Instagram. There's one thing I do know about Samantha is that she likes long walks to the elevator to go meet the Postmates delivery for night out cookies. She's the cookie monster. So, but yeah, so as far as productivity goes, like, how are you staying busy from just as far as, gyms aren't open, things like that? Are you doing the at-home workout thing? Are you outside running?
Yeah. So I honestly believe that we're going to increase productivity. This is going to help with productivity, with discipline, with technological advances. The last 2008, 2007 recession, some of the largest companies in the world came out of it. Uber was one of them. So to answer your question, we're kind of staying within routine. So everything that I'm doing is all relevant to what I was doing prior to the pandemic. So I still wake up, I meditate, I go to the gym, I work out. And by go to the gym, I mean I walk outside and I set up a gym, in right here in Brickell, and I do sprints and I do all out home stuff, or I'm, focused on helping some of my other friends that are influencers, and they're doing motivation or fitness channels and things like that. So I feel like you can still, no matter what you're doing, we're blessed enough to be able to walk outside. I have people that are up north that are still stuck in their houses.
Yeah.
So, it's a different world, but you can do things outside. You can take classes. I feel like you really can try to put forth your best self right now. This is going to make or break a lot of people, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of money.
Could not agree more. That's exactly the way we focus. There's a lot of people that are going to sit on the sidelines and just use this as an opportunity, whether it be for a vacation or to do less or to make excuses.
Absolutely.
And we were just, we're not going to fall victim to that no matter what it takes. To just find a way to really just push forward and find a positive approach and really try to develop through this. And we have found so much success in it. And sounds like that you have as well. So outstanding. I'm really excited. Really happy you came today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Overall, I think this is really a time for people to invent, create, emerge, come out of this better than we were before, learn something new, learn a skill, and try your best to be kind and help people, because everybody's feeling it. But I think this could be great for us to make a lot of money and a lot of opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. And guys, if you ever need anything, we'll make sure that everybody gets an email with all the social medias. I think that they've been posted in the chat as well throughout. And we will get everyone's contact information out there so that if anyone has direct, specific questions, want help, we're all here. That's our approach. I know that's your approach. So thanks again for coming, Samantha. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.